And privacy issues raised as two former Twitter employees get charged with spying for Saudi Arabia. They are accused of digging up users' confidential data for payment. A third man from Saudi Arabia who worked for the Saudi royal family was also charged. And on the possible impact on privacy that this case raises, we speak with Manjunath Bhatt, Senior Director and Analyst at Gartner. Thanks for joining us. So firstly, is this Twitter spying incident a scandal and a danger waiting to happen?
Yeah, I think so. So this is almost like a ticking time bomb. I would say, every time we users go on the internet, we're leaving a digital trail. So if you look at all the social media sites, they're ripe with information that we leave about ourselves. And more prominently, you should think of journalists, even analysts for that matter, the likes of myself, my colleagues. So we are considered as high value targets. So in many ways, what we've underestimated is the insider threats is as severe or more severe than external threats. And most companies, especially tech companies, they prioritize a lot of external threats over internal threats.
Well, the tech companies, they like to use terms like aggregating and anonymizing data that they collect from users. How much of a safeguard is this actually?
It is a safeguard, but not from insider threats, because if you are an insider, you have access, you have all tools at your disposal to re-aggregate data. So pseudonymization, anonymization, all those capabilities, they are good if you're protecting yourself from malicious outsiders. I would say the more important ones are policy-based security. That's one that's of paramount importance. You're also looking at principle of least privilege. This is another technique that's becoming very, very common and in fact is recommended. Customer encryption keys, like for instance, Microsoft protects its Office 365 suite using something called the customer lockbox. So even if you're a Microsoft employee, you may not have access to customer data unless the customer actually logs in. There's many ways of protecting information, and anonymization, pseudonymization is just one of them. Obviously, there is user behavioral monitor tracking, and so continuous adaptive access is another one, and two-factor authentication. So there's lots of techniques. Don't rely on anonymization alone.
And what about tech companies themselves then? Surely they should shoulder most of the responsibility when it comes to protecting the identity and security of their clients and customers.
Oh, yes. So privacy is a fundamental human right. And what's generally happened is that's not treated as such by a lot of tech companies. And when it comes to our data, there's this whole concept of the API economy, of the data economy. And the secondary effect of that is how you can monetize data, right? And so one of the things that's underestimated by most tech companies is how data is not just important from a monetary perspective, and it doesn't just benefit overall as an industry, but it in fact can protect or harm the safety of an individual. So we've seen that recently. So this is now going beyond digital realm and can in fact impact physical security and the safety of individuals.
Okay,
so it should be treated with utmost importance.
So saying that, if it can turn into something physical, how can users of tech platforms like ourselves protect our personal data from, if the companies are doing their best to protect themselves from external data, what can we do to protect from internal data? You did mention that we leave a whole slew of digital trail.
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things I would recommend, in fact, I practice it myself, is protect all of our social media accounts with two-factor authentication to an extent where you do not allow third-party apps to gain access to social media logins. So it's very common these days for people to use, let's say, a Google login or a Facebook login to access other sites. So treat that with caution, use security tokens. And the other thing we users can do to protect ourselves is not share a lot of sensitive content. Do not expose personal relationships. Don't expose your phone number unless it's really needed. So obviously never ever share your location. So don't allow any apps to track your location. And I think that really is more than just digital trail. It's leaving your physical trail.
Well, indeed, you're right. It is leaving a physical trail. Thank you so much for, speaking to us. Majuna Bhatt, their Senior Director Analyst at Gartner.